Murray and Roberts. Now, this one, of course, is one of South Africa's industrial legends, established at the turn of the century. And I'm not talking about this one, the last one, 1900. It's a global player in construction and engineering. Its headquarters, of course, are in Bedfordview on Snake Road, just off the highway there at Galuli's. But it's down to a market capitalization of 4.1 billion rand, which is actually quite amazing. Price earnings ratio of only 4.39, dividend yield of 5.38 historically. Done some reorganizing, had a kind of capital raise. Amidst all of the difficulties, they've now had this temporary bridge collapse on the M1, which got everybody up in their feelings. Although, I don't know, I mean, as tragic as those things are, it's a fairly minor event.
Yeah, I mean, you know, events like that from an investor's point of view, I think it really puts the management under a lot of stress, and it really brings your CEO to the fore. And I mean, I remember listening to Henry last in the bridge collapse, and I think he handled the whole incident very, very well. I mean, in the end of the day, I don't think it was Murray's fault. It was actually
well, Formscaf and them are arguing about whose fault it was. Yeah. Formscaf said, well, we didn't design the bridge because we don't have any engineers. And Murray and Roberts said, well, we were just the contractor to put it up, which makes one wonder how these things actually happen.
And we're not going to know until we get some results from a court case. But as you say, I think a small portion of the overall Murray and Roberts business.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, again, this is another one that is fairly reliant on the Australian businesses as well.
Well, let's talk about that, because Clough, which is, I think that's how you pronounce the name of their Australian subsidiary, has long been a big player in like onshore gas terminals. They've done some nice infrastructure projects linked, I guess, to the mining industry, and so that would be an issue. But what you're saying is that could be helpful in relation to earnings going forward.
Yeah, at least, I mean, the latest trading statement, and we've seen in all the trading statements in these companies, there has been some improvement in headline earnings, and it is off a low base.
You're right, I did notice it. So Murray and Roberts is the one that had the trading update a couple of days
ago. And again,
ago.
it did also point to, I mean, remember, it's sort of unwound a lot of its Middle Eastern business now, so Middle East accounts for a tiny portion of its overall revenue, but Australia is still significant, and that helping with the translational effect of those forex projects, as well as the underground mining, interestingly, doing fairly well in that statement as well.
Yeah, which of course is something that still happens because some of the big operators still have to do a certain amount of that. Okay, so look at that. That's the recovery you're talking about. So off a very depressed base, the sign of better comparatives year on year starting to cause a slight move
starting
higher.
to come through, and I think you know, like I said, this whole sector has right-sized itself. So if you're looking, you're trying to pick a bottom, which is incredibly dangerous. But another, I think, very positive thing for Murray and Roberts is that it's reinstituted its dividend. I mean, it's been paying dividends again since 2014, and you know, if a company's comfortable enough to be able to return cash to shareholders, I think, you know, again, it's the grassroots of recovery, I think, coming through on the sector.
And it's the point you make is it's not as though there's nothing going on. I mean, the Booysendal extension, which is for Northam, is something that they have picked up. All of the problems of the past are behind them. So the Dubai airport resolution, as far as I know, the Rosebank Park station water entry in the Gautrain project is behind them.
That also, I think it was awarded in favour of Bombela, so that came out. So.
And when I say so, I'm not making the point that they necessarily won all of those cases, but it's gotten to the point now where whatever provisions needed to have been made, and now that's kind of through the wash, and that's why you can have the sequential improvement. Yeah,
let's hope so. I still, if you look at their sort of mix, where their earnings mix comes from, I think, you know, the exposure to their oil and gas is still going to hurt them, just with the general sort of commodity and suppressed oil prices.
Because if you made money building an LNG terminal out in Australia, you're not going to get another one of those for a while.
Exactly right.
People are crying.
Yeah, for me, you know, on a sector basis, I think it's still, you know, you are, like I said, across the sector, you're seeing these grassroots of recovery come through. But Murray and Roberts, just because of the mix of its where it's earning its money, I'm going to go not hot.
Not hot for now. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go not hot too. Next.